3 gunshots shatter a packed sanctuary, silencing Pastor Joel Rowland's sermon as his daughter, Fiona, unloads a rented handgun into his skull, his body crumpling in a spray of bone and betrayal. The choir's hymn chokes under screams, the congregation paralyzed as Fiona, a revered church leader, stands unyielding, her voice a chilling decree, God cannot be mocked. This isn't rage, it's retribution for a secret so vile it tore Freeport, Illinois' faith apart. Joel, a 28-year facade of righteousness, preyed on young men, including Fiona's fiancé, twisting discipleship into abuse, sedating resistors with a doctor's drugs. Fiona, catching Joel drugging her grandfather Kenneth, uncovered a conspiracy of silenced victims and shattered trust. His journal, a ledger of twisted justifications and whispers of violated youth, fueled her resolve. Why did a daughter revered for her choir and leadership turn executioner? What drove her to rent a gun and end a pastor's reign? This true crime descent into family violence and faith-based fraud leaves Freeport's church fractured, its congregation torn between justice and damnation. Dare to unravel a murder mystery where holiness cloaked a monster, or let its shadows bury the truth forever. A hymn's harmony fractures under 3 deafening gunshots, ripping through Freeport, Illinois' packed church sanctuary. Pastor Joel Rowland, mid-sermon on forgiveness, staggers as bullets tear into his skull, his white robe a canvas of crimson chaos. The choir falters, screams drown the organ's wail, and the congregation freezes, eyes locked on Fiona Rowland, Joel's daughter and church leader, standing resolute with a rented handgun. Her voice, steady as steel, cuts the pandemonium. God cannot be mocked. Officers swarm the pews, cuffing Fiona as she surrenders without a flinch, her gaze fixed on Joel's crumpled form. Freeport's faithful, once united under Joel's charisma, reel in horror, their sanctuary now a murder mystery's crucible. Joel, a pastor for 28 years, commanded devotion, his architecture background and football passion shaping a magnetic presence. Married to Isabella Rowland, he neglected her and their son Nathan, whose illness kept Isabella home, while daughter Fiona thrived in choir and leadership, appointed by her grandfather, Kenneth Rowland, the church's founder. Fiona's fiancé, a youth member, tied her to the church's pulse, yet no one fathoms why she turned executioner. The rented gun, sourced in secrecy, hints at premeditation, not passion. Congregants whisper of Joel's mentorship of young men, but none suspect the betrayal festering beneath his sermons. Police secure the scene, the pulpit a grim altar of family violence. Fiona, revered for her vibrant faith, offers no explanation, her silence a wall as officers probe the chaos. Freeport's community, knit by decades of Kenneth's ministry, grapples with the unthinkable, a daughter's public slaughter of her father. Isabella, absent tending Nathan, remains untouched by the sanctuary's shock, while Kenneth, retired, learns of the tragedy from home. The congregation's amens, once fervent, now echo as cries, their trust in Joel's righteousness shaken. Was Fiona's act a lone descent into madness? Or does a darker fraud lurk within the church's walls? Detectives collect the handgun, its origin obscured, and note Fiona's calm, her choir robe still pristine. The sanctuary's air, thick with gunpowder's sting, chokes Freeport's hope. Joel's body, carted away, leaves a void where faith once stood. Fiona's leadership, her voice lifting hymns, made her a beacon, yet she chose a bullet's verdict. As officers lead her past pews of stunned faces, Freeport braces for a truth that could unravel its spiritual core, a conspiracy poised to stain the church's legacy with blood and deceit. Joel Rowland's pulpit, now empty, once radiated his commanding presence, a beacon for Freeport, Illinois' faithful. A former architecture student with a flair for football, Joel crafted sermons that stirred souls, his 28-year marriage to Isabella Rowland, a pillar of church ideals. Yet, beneath the polished veneer, cracks festered. Isabella, tethered to their son Nathan's chronic illness, withdrew from church duties, her absence a quiet wound Joel ignored. Their daughter, Fiona, flourished, her choir solos and leadership role bestowed by her grandfather, Kenneth Rowland, the church's founder for over 4 decades, making her a cornerstone. Fiona's fiancé, a young adult in Joel's mentorship program, bound her to the church's youth, oblivious to the betrayal brewing. Joel's charisma masked a chilling fraud. He mentored young men, offering guidance in discipleship sessions, his words cloaked in divine purpose. Freeport's congregation saw a pastor of integrity, unaware of the fear he instilled, threatening divine retribution if victims spoke. Fiona, shuttling between her parents and Kenneth's nearby homes, sensed unease in the youth group, whispers of discomfort she couldn't place. Kenneth, retired but revered, heard murmurs from parents about Joel's private meetings. Yet the church's trust in Joel's holiness smothered doubt, leaving Fiona to navigate her growing suspicions alone. The church, a tapestry of Freeport's faith, thrived under Joel's leadership, its pews filled with families who saw him as God's vessel. Isabella's rare appearances, overshadowed by Nathan's care, left Joel unchallenged, his neglect of family a shadow none questioned. Fiona's vibrant faith, her leadership echoing Kenneth's legacy, made her the church's heartbeat, yet her fiancé's silence hinted at a deeper rift. Joel's sermons, lauded for conviction, now feel hollow to Fiona, her choir notes tinged with dread. Kenneth's hesitation, dismissing parental concerns as envy, fuels a conspiracy that festers unchecked, its roots in Joel's untouchable image. As Freeport's sanctuary heals from the shooting's echo, detectives probe Joel's life, finding a pristine office with a locked drawer, its contents a mystery. Fiona's act, a bullet through her father's legacy, looms over the church, its congregation blind to the abuse that drove her hand. The handgun's undisclosed source, a thread in a tightening noose, points to a calculated strike. With Isabella cloistered and Kenneth frail, Fiona's vengeance hints at a truth so vile it could topple Freeport's faith, a murder mystery ready to unearth a pastor's masked depravity. Freeport, Illinois' church, still reeling from Fiona Rowland's execution of her father, Pastor Joel Rowland, hums with unease as whispers of his betrayal surface. Joel, once a beacon of righteousness, mentored young men in discipleship sessions, his charisma cloaking a chilling fraud. A teenage boy, trembling with guilt, confesses to his father, a steadfast church member, that Joel's private counsel turned to abuse, veiled as divine purpose with threats of God's wrath if he spoke. The father, shaken, shares the allegations with Kenneth Rowland, the church's founder for over 4 decades, now retired. Kenneth, reluctant to tarnish his son's legacy, confides in Fiona, his granddaughter and church leader, but Freeport's faithful cling to Joel's saintly image, dismissing the claims as malice. Fiona, her choir voice a staple of Sunday worship, feels the weight of her role, appointed by Kenneth to steer the church's youth. Her fiancé, a young adult in Joel's program, grows distant, his silence echoing the boy's confession. More parents murmur concerns about late-night meetings, their son's sudden withdrawal fueling a conspiracy. Joel's sedatives, sourced from a church member doctor under the guise of insomnia, raise Fiona's suspicions. He used them to subdue resistors, ensuring compliance. Yet the congregation's trust in Joel, built on decades of sermons, smothers doubt, leaving Fiona to navigate a fracturing faith. Isabella Rowland, Joel's wife of 28 years, remains absent, tethered to their son Nathan's illness, unaware of the storm brewing. Joel's neglect of family, prioritizing church over Nathan's care, left Isabella a ghost in Freeport's pews, her devotion to Joel untested by rumors. Fiona, living between her parents and Kenneth's nearby homes, senses the youth group's fear, her leadership role amplifying each whispered hint of Joel's crimes. Kenneth, torn between loyalty and duty, hesitates, his dismissal of allegations a shield for the church he built. The boy's father, emboldened, presses for answers, but Joel's polished sermons drown their pleas. As Freeport Sanctuary echoes with Joel's recorded homilies, detectives probe Fiona's motives, finding no cracks in her silence. The handgun's undisclosed source, a thread in a tightening net, suggests a calculated strike. Fiona's choir robe, now evidence, contrasts her violent act, her leadership once a beacon. The church, blind to Joel's abuse, teeters on the edge of a murder mystery, its foundation shaken by a pastor's hidden depravity, poised to erupt in a revelation that will scar Freeport's faithful. Fiona Rowland's footsteps echo in Freeport, Illinois' church office, her choir practice cut short to fetch her grandfather, Kenneth Rowland. The door creaks open, revealing a scene that sears her soul. Kenneth, slumped over Joel's desk, eyes clouded by sedatives, as Joel, her father, commits an assault so vile it defies faith. Joel, unmoved, brushes past Fiona, his pastor's calm a mask of betrayal. Fiona, rooted in horror, grips Kenneth's trembling hand, his disorientation a testament to Joel's fraud. Sedatives, sourced from a church doctor for insomnia, now a tool to silence scrutiny. Freeport's church, unaware, sleeps under Joel's 28-year reign, but Fiona's world fractures. Joel's abuse, whispered among Freeport's youth, takes shape in Fiona's mind. Her fiancé, a victim of Joel's discipleship, confessed haltingly, joining others Joel coerced with threats of divine retribution. Fiona, appointed church leader by Kenneth, pieces together the conspiracy. Joel sedated resistors, his journal, locked in that desk, likely a ledger of twisted justifications. Isabella Rowland, cloistered with their son Nathan's illness, misses the church's unraveling, Joel's neglect leaving her blind to his crimes. Fiona, torn between her choir's harmony and the youth's pain, carries the weight of Kenneth's assault alone, her silence a ticking fuse. Kenneth, roused but memoryless, leans on Fiona as she guides him home, Freeport's quiet streets mocking her turmoil. The church, a fortress of faith, remains ignorant, its congregation lauding Joel's sermons while Fiona grapples with justice. Her fiancé's trauma, mirrored in other victims, fuels her resolve. She secures a rented handgun, its source a secret buried in Freeport's underbelly. Kenneth's frailty, a shadow of his 4-decade legacy, deepens Fiona's duty to protect the church he built. The boy's father, still pressing allegations, finds no ally in the congregation's denial, leaving Fiona as truth's lone sentinel. Detectives, sifting through Freeport's sanctuary, uncover Joel's locked drawer, its contents a looming specter. Fiona's act, 3 bullets through Joel's skull, reverberates as Freeport awakens to a murder mystery. The church's trust, once unyielding, frays under whispers of Joel's depravity, a family violence poised to shatter its sacred walls, with Fiona's vengeance the key to a truth too horrific to bury. Fiona Rowland's heart pounds beneath her choir robe, her faith in Freeport, Illinois' church, crumbling under the weight of her father's betrayal. Pastor Joel Rowland's abuse, a conspiracy unveiled by Fiona's discovery of him drugging and assaulting her grandfather, Kenneth Rowland, festers like a wound. Her fiancé, violated in Joel's discipleship sessions, bears scars of coerced silence, his trauma echoing other young men and teenagers Joel terrorized with threats of divine wrath. Fiona, a church leader appointed by Kenneth, wrestles with the horror. Joel, married 28 years to Isabella Rowland, sedated resistors with a church doctor's drugs, his journal a testament to twisted faith. Freeport's congregation, blind to this fraud, still reveres Joel, their amends a mockery of justice. Isabella, cloistered with their son Nathan's illness, misses the church's unraveling, Joel's neglect a wall between them. Fiona, shuttling between her parents and Kenneth's homes, can no longer stomach Joel's hypocrisy. His Sunday sermon looms, a platform for lies about forgiveness, that Fiona, her choir voice once a beacon, refuses to endure. The rented handgun, secured from a shadowed source, weighs heavy in her purse, its purpose forged in the pain of her fiancé and Freeport's youth. Kenneth, frail from his assault, remains unaware, his legacy at stake. Joel's office, where Fiona witnessed Kenneth's violation, haunts her, its locked drawer a vault of secrets. The church, a fortress of Freeport's faith, buzzes with anticipation for Joel's sermon, ignorant of the storm brewing. Fiona's leadership, her solos lifting pews, clashes with her duty to end Joel's reign. The boy's father, whose son exposed Joel's abuse, finds no traction in a congregation dazzled by Joel's charisma. Fiona's resolve hardens, her choir roll a mask for retribution. Freeport streets, quiet under Sunday's dawn, belie the violence she plans, a family violence born of a pastor's deceit. Detectives probing Fiona's silence trace the handgun's murky trail, its origin a riddle. The sanctuary, scarred by Joel's blood, whispers of a deeper truth, its pews unaware of the youth's silenced cries. Fiona's act, 3 bullets to shatter a legacy, looms as Freeport's faithful gather, their trust a fragile thread. Joel's sermon, a final act of fraud, beckons, and Fiona, her heart a furnace of justice, steps toward a reckoning that will redefine Freeport's faith. The sanctuary hums with devotion as Pastor Joel Rowland ascends the pulpit, his sermon on forgiveness a polished lie. Fiona Rowland, in her choir robe, stands among singers, her rented handgun a cold weight in her purse. The congregation, oblivious to Joel's abuse of Freeport's youth, including Fiona's fiancé, nods to his words, their trust a shield for his 28-year fraud. Fiona, church leader and Kenneth Rowland's appointee, locks eyes with Joel, her father's voice a taunt after she caught him drugging and assaulting Kenneth. 3 gunshots erupt, splitting the hymn's echo as Fiona fires into Joel's head, his skull fracturing in a spray of bone. He collapses, robe drenched in crimson, as screams engulf the pews. Freeport's faithful scatter, some diving beneath pews, others frozen, their pastor's body a sacrilege on the pulpit. Fiona, unyielding, lowers the gun, her voice slicing through chaos. God cannot be mocked. Officers storm the sanctuary, cuffing her as she surrenders, her choir roll now a haunting irony. Isabella Rowland, absent tending Nathan's illness, escapes the horror, while Kenneth, recovering at home, learns of the slaughter. Detectives, swarming the scene, mistake Fiona's act for a personal grudge, unaware of Joel's conspiracy of abuse, sedating victims with a church doctor's drugs. The handgun, its source veiled, lies bagged as evidence, its weight a testament to Fiona's resolve. Freeport's church, built by Kenneth's 4-decade legacy, reels, its congregation torn between shock and denial. Fiona's leadership, her solos once uplifting, now marks her as an enigma. Why did a daughter kill her father? Joel's mentorship, lauded for guiding young men, hides a trail of fear, his journal locked in his office, a potential key. The boy's father, whose allegations Kenneth dismissed, watches in stunned silence, his warnings unheeded by a dazzled flock. As Fiona is led through Freeport sanctuary, past pews of trembling faces, the air chokes with gunpowder's bite. The congregation's faith, once anchored in Joel's sermons, frays under the murder mystery's glare. Detectives, probing the chaos, sense a deeper betrayal, the church's sanctity a facade for family violence. Freeport braces for a truth that could splinter its spiritual core as Fiona's silence in custody heralds a storm of revelations, the pastor's blood a marker of a conspiracy yet to unravel. The church, scarred by Fiona Rowland's execution of Pastor Joel Rowland, trembles as detectives unearth a conspiracy of betrayal. Fiona's 3 gunshots, ending her father's 28-year reign, spark an investigation that peels back Joel's holy mask. A locked drawer in his office yields a journal, its pages scrawled with justifications for abusing Freeport's youth, twisting faith into fear. A prescription bottle, sedatives from a church member doctor, confirms Joel drugged resistors, including Fiona's fiancé, whose testimony shatters the silence. Other young men, coerced by threats of divine wrath, come forward, their accounts a chorus of pain exposing Joel's fraud. Kenneth Rowland, Freeport's church founder for over 4 decades, crumbles under guilt for dismissing early allegations, his heart failure claiming him after the trial. Isabella Rowland, Joel's wife, learns her marriage was a lie, her absence, tending son Nathan's illness, blinding her to Joel's crimes. The boy's father, whose initial warning Kenneth ignored, watches Freeport's congregation fracture, some clinging to Joel's memory, others recoiling from his depravity. Fiona, in custody, remains stoic, her choir leadership a stark contrast to her unrepentant act, her motive tied to Kenneth's assault and her fiancé's trauma. Detectives trace the rented handgun, its undisclosed source a lingering shadow, while Joel's journal details his abuse of nearly every young adult and teenager, sedating those who resisted. Freeport's church, under new leadership, struggles to mend, its pews half empty as trust erodes. The sanctuary, once a haven, now bears the weight of family violence, its walls echoing the youth's silenced cries. Isabella, grappling with Joel's neglect and Nathan's care, faces a community torn between denial and outrage, her husband's legacy a stain on Freeport's faith. As Freeport streets buzz with whispers, detectives catalog victim testimonies, each a nail in Joel's coffin. The church's new leader, a faint echo of Kenneth's vision, fails to quell the exodus, Freeport's faithful divided by a murder mystery that defies forgiveness. Fiona's silence, unbroken in interrogation, amplifies the journal's revelations, her act a beacon for victims. The congregation, once unified, splinters, leaving Freeport to confront a truth that burns deeper than Joel's blood, a faith-based crime poised to redefine its spiritual heart. Illinois' courtroom hums with tension as Fiona Rowland, choir leader turned executioner, faces trial for firing 3 bullets into her father, Pastor Joel Rowland. Prosecutors detail her calculated act, the rented handgun shattering Freeport's sanctuary, Joel's skull a ruin of betrayed faith. Fiona, unrepentant, stands firm, her words, "God cannot be mocked," echoing as she's convicted of first-degree murder, sentenced to life without parole. Freeport's congregation, split between seeing her as a murderer or a vigilante, watches the church they loved collapse under the weight of Joel's fraud. Isabella Rowland, Joel's wife of 28 years, flees Freeport with son Nathan, his illness a shield from the church's ruin. Changing their names, they sever ties, Isabella's marriage revealed as a lie by Joel's abuse of Freeport's youth, including Fiona's fiancé. Kenneth Rowland, the church's founder for over 4 decades, succumbed to heart failure post-trial, his guilt for ignoring allegations a fatal burden. The boy's father, whose warnings went unheeded, joins those abandoning the church while others stay, clinging to a new leader's faltering vision. Freeport's pews, a ghost of their former glory. Joel's journal, unearthed by detectives, lays bare his conspiracy. Sedating young men with a church doctor's drugs, coercing them with divine threats, his abuse a stain on Freeport's faith. Victim testimonies, led by Fiona's fiancé, expose a trail of trauma, the sanctuary a facade for family violence. Freeport's community, once knit by Kenneth's ministry, grapples with divided loyalties. Some deny Joel's crimes, others mourn their trust. The church, hemorrhaging members, teeters on closure, its new leadership unable to mend the rift, Freeport's spiritual core fractured by a murder mystery's truth. As Fiona's cell door clangs shut, Freeport streets carry whispers of her act, a beacon for victims or a warning of vengeance's cost. The sanctuary, scarred by Joel's blood, stands as a relic of faith-based crime, its hymns silenced. Isabella and Nathan's absence, Kenneth's grave, and the church's splintered flock leave Freeport to face a haunting legacy. A pastor's depravity, cloaked in righteousness, undone by a daughter's bullets. The truth, raw and unyielding, lingers, a testament to betrayal that Freeport's faithful will never outrun. Every victim has a voice, and every story deserves to be heard. If this case moved you, please like, subscribe, and join me as we uncover the truths that should never be forgotten.